Mangwanani mwalelepo fukenjani class vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning. This is your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today we begin in Malawi, where tight elections unfold amid economic struggles and corruption scandals. In South Africa, Helen Zille makes a dramatic comeback as the DA's Johannesburg mayoral candidate. We then cross to Eswatini, where protesters condemn a U.S. deportation deal with King Mswati. From there, Brazil officially joins South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the ICJ. And Mike Sichula brings us the Zambia report featuring political and sport updates. And of course, we talk about Africa's cheapest fuel in economic news and Dangote's bold claim that his truck drivers get paid better than Nigerian graduates. This is Africa Good Morning, DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTV Africa on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
Let's get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning. Malawi held its tripartite general elections on September 16, choosing a president, 229 National Assembly members and 509 local councillors. The main contest lies between incumbent Lazarus Chakwera of the Malawi Congress Party and former President Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, though 17 candidates contested. A clear victory requires over 50% of the vote, otherwise a runoff will follow. The elections occurred against the backdrop of economic hardships, fuel and foreign currency shortages, food insecurity due to drought and cyclones, and corruption scandals hitting both major parties. Voting was mostly peaceful, though some stations faced long queues, and early counts from the north suggested Mutharika slightly ahead. Both MCP and DPP prematurely claimed victory, prompting the Electoral Commission to warn against such declarations. On September 28, people, including polling officials, were arrested for alleged electoral fraud. By yesterday, partial results showed a neck-and-neck race, making a runoff likely. The Commission has delayed final announcements to ensure thorough verification. International observers from SADC, the African Union, and the EU urged calm, while official presidential results are expected by September 24, with parliamentary and local results due by the end of September and early October. Moving on. The Democratic Alliance in South Africa announced on the 20th that Helen Zille, its Federal Council chairperson and former leader, would contest for mayor of Johannesburg in the 2026 local elections. At 74, Zille remains a central figure in shaping the party's political direction, credited with influencing last year's national strategy that reduced the ANC to under 50% support. The DA seeks to reclaim control of Johannesburg, South Africa's economic hub, after years of unstable coalitions and successive mayors who have either resigned, were pushed out, or died in office. Party leader John Steenhuisen described the election as a choice between decay and renewal, pointing to the DA's governance track record in Cape Town. Accepting her nomination in Soweto, Zille vowed to improve water supply, electricity, refuse removal, and road maintenance. She pledged to wrestle the city back from a criminal mafia and rejected poor services as normal. Johannesburg, plagued by broken streetlights, potholes, and service backlogs, has lacked stability in leadership. The DA last held the mayoralty in 2022, but hopes Zille's reputation as a seasoned strategist and administrator will restore voter confidence and secure control of the council in the coming election. Moving on. Eswatini pro-democracy activists staged a protest outside the United States Embassy in Pretoria, denouncing a reported deal between Washington and King Mswati III. The agreement would see deported migrants sent back to Eswatini, allegedly in exchange for up to $500 million, sparking outrage among demonstrators who argued the funds would not benefit ordinary citizens. Protest organizer Philile Khumalo highlighted the country's severe poverty and high suicide rates, saying the money would only enrich the monarchy. Sakile Nxumalo of the Swaziland Youth Pro-Congress argued the deal entrenches royal control, funding the king's lavish lifestyle while neglecting public welfare. Protesters linked their concerns to broader issues of inequality, unemployment, and authoritarianism under Africa's last absolute monarch. With 63% of Eswatini's people living below the poverty line and youth unemployment at 58%, demonstrators said the arrangement reflects misplaced priorities. Placards demanded accountability and called for an end to the monarchy's dominance. The gathering was part of growing frustrations among citizens who argue that U.S. and Eswatini authorities must reconsider the deal. Activists insist any such agreements should prioritize human rights, economic development, and relief for struggling Swazi citizens rather than sustaining royal privilege. Brazil formally joined South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice on September 20, accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. The court confirmed Brazil invoked Article 63 of the ICJ statute, allowing UN member states to intervene when treaty interpretation is at stake. By doing so, Brazil recognized that Israel's actions violate the 1948 Genocide Convention. The declaration follows Brazil's earlier statements condemning Israeli aggression in Gaza and West Bank, citing impunity undermining international law. Brazil joined Spain, Ireland, Mexico, and Turkey in backing South Africa's case. The ICJ has already issued interim measures in January 2024 requiring Israel to prevent acts of genocide and allow humanitarian aid, while also ruling its occupation policies amount to annexation. Despite this, Israel continues military operations, destroying large parts of Gaza and advancing territorial plans backed by U.S. and European allies, providing arms and funds. The court's final ruling may take years, but the case has already intensified global debate on accountability and international justice. Meanwhile, U.S. officials continue to dismiss the case, imposing sanctions on ICC members who issued arrest warrants for Israeli leaders Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant earlier in 2024. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be joined by Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia report, but prior to that, it's the weather. It's time for us to talk to Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia report from Lusaka. Mike Odbanji.
Mulibwanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Ndidi bueno. Now, Mike, Foreign Affairs Minister Mulambo Haimbe is to represent President Hakainde Hichilema at the UN General Assembly.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, that is the correct position. And this is happening for the third time. President Hakainde Hichilema has missed the United Nations General Assembly. Part of the reason is that President Hichilema told the nation that he cannot be traveling outside Zambia when the body of President Edgar Lungu has not yet been buried. That has been the major reason. So President Hakainde Hichilema has not traveled out of Zambia for the past, since the time Mr. Edgar Lungu died on June 5th, 2025. He has only been restricted to local travels. Then Mr. Haimbe is scheduled to address the high-level General Assembly on Monday next week. He is out of Zambia. In New York, he's accompanied by Elijah Muchima. So the theme for this year's General Assembly is Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. Then a number of Zambians have questions to say, why hasn't the president, the vice president, Mrs. Mtalena Lumango, to such a high-level meeting? There's been a lot of instances where President Hakainde Hichilema has reached the vice president to certain duties which ended to by ministers, and meanwhile she has not been given high-level privileges to represent him. So it has also raised concerns as to whether the two are in good standing. But anyway, these speculations by the government, they have usually downplayed them, saying there's nothing wrong between the president and the vice president.
All right, Mike, moving on to your next story. The ZRA is warning against Zambians surrendering mining licenses to foreigners.
Well, this is something that is disturbing to authorities, because the objective that the government has been pushing is that more Zambians should be participants in the owning of mines. There are very few Zambians that are in charge that are owners of big mining companies in the country at present. Most Zambians are restricted to artisanal and small-scale mining. So the government has taken a proactive position to say, if a foreign national is going to come to Zambia, they must not be given priority in terms of owning mining licenses. So a number of Zambians have acquired mining licenses, but what has restricted them to advance mining activities is lack of capital, and also the machinery. Given a license for them to be mining, it has become a very difficult undertaking. Some Zambians have been doing is that when they have rights to a mine with foreign nationals, they have been selling these mining licenses to foreigners. So this gone well the revenue authorities that have said the decision is acting against what the government of Zambia, especially President Hichilema, has been preaching, to say he wants more Zambians to get into this mining sector, but not the situation that is happening at the moment. So authorities are hoping that Zambians need to understand why the government has changed the policy in terms of giving mining rights to locals. They are saying locals need to take advantage of the situation in order to increase their participation in the mining sector.
You know, Mike, I generally have no issues with Zambian policy. After all, I got my wife from Zambia. But this one is a bit of a contentious one for me, and it makes me worry about the creative industry in general. But hopefully there's some clarity that I haven't quite logged in. Parliament has rejected a motion for a national film fund.
Yes, this motion was presented to Parliament by youthful members of Parliament, Christopher Kangombe, that is him there in the picture with local government minister, Gift Sialubalo. So the motion did not receive favorable support from members of Parliament. So the motion the motion sought to set up a fund for actors. The film industry in Zambia is coming up, and most of the people that are promoting the film industry, they are doing it either from their out of pocket, or they have gotten a few sponsors here and there. So there's no proper funding to the film industry. This has created the situation whereby some films good quality because the filmmakers, the directors, they do not have proper equipment. So the two parliamentarians, that is Mr. Christopher Kangombe and pushing to fund so that government should take a deliberate step to set up a fund that can be used by people that are in the film industry and those that want to venture into the film industry. Their argument is that the film industry can be one of the sources of employment for young people, and it can also contribute to economic revenue in terms of foreign exchange. The Zambian film industry, despite these difficulties of lacking funding and exposure, lack of equipment, they have been doing well in within the region and on the global stage, where they've won some awards within the region, and those that have gone outside the region, they have also been. It is at that background that the two parliamentarians were hoping that Parliament was going to support nations to establish a national film fund in order to ensure that this sector can be supported with finances to make more youths that are venturing into this sector can be assured of funding whenever they have got a project of their own.
All right, Mike, some very interesting points. I was just discussing in the studio when we first checked out your story that perhaps they should have gone for a broader approach, not just focusing on actors, but the entire film industry, because Zambia is very talented. All right. Speaking of talent, some Zambian gentlemen could not make use of theirs as Zambia's men's 4x400 relay team was disqualified at the World Championships. There's more to this.
Quite a very sad state of affairs. You know, this story came after the same national relay team staged a protest that they told the Zambian government to say they are not going to participate into this relay unless the funds, the allowances that are owed to them in past events are paid to them. So it was more or less like they were resolved not to participate. So when information filtered through that the Zambian government has managed to settle the allowances owed to them for this particular event, and they were promised to say the other funds will be paid to them. So expectations were high that they were going to perform better. But what happened is they were disqualified. So a number of Zambians were saying, look, you protest that you want funds, the authorities make available this money, and you end up being disqualified for breaking the rules of the World Athletics body. So the outcome did not settle well with the Zambian funds. However, a number of people have argued that the disqualification of the Zambian men's team was unfairly done because when you watch the videos and pictures that have been made available on social media, you can clearly see that the American team also went into the lane of the Zambian team. So they do not understand why Zambia was disqualified, because the pictures are showing that the American team was also not was not passing their baton within their lane. So it is something that most sporting fans are saying they must call for proper investigation, so that Zambia is not should not have been disqualified unfairly. So before Zambia was disqualified, the team clocked 3 minutes 01 0.71 seconds to finish 80th, to set up the best seasonal record in Heat 1 of the race before they were disqualified. But after the disqualification, everything that the team put in went under water. So it is a very sad development for the likes of Muzala Samkonga and the team, who put up a spirited fight to finish 80th, but it ended up through a disqualification after they were adjudged to have passed the baton in the wrong lane.
All right, very interesting. Lots of twists and turns there, Mike. Thank you very much for delivering the Zambia report. And do let us know. We know that right now we're still waiting to see what the next step is with regards to the burial of Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
Not a problem. That will be availed as soon as fresh information comes up. And I just wish to congratulate Arsenal for coming behind to clinch a point. I was so happy that Manchester City would hold on to the win, but didn't work out my way. Congratulations anyway.
It is what it is. Let's move into economic news. Fuel affordability remains a crucial factor shaping Africa's economies, directly influencing transport, food costs, and inflation. In September, Libya recorded the continent's cheapest petrol at $0.028 per litre, followed by Angola at $0.327, Algeria 0.354, Egypt at $0.396, and Nigeria at $0.572 a litre. Other countries in the top 10 include Sudan at 0.7, Ethiopia at 0.856, Tunisia 0.870, Liberia at 0.887, and the Democratic Republic of Congo at $1.028 a litre. Compared with the global average of 1.28, these nations face reduced economic strain. Affordable fuel supports farming, mining, and manufacturing, lowers logistics costs, and protects populations from inflation spikes that often follow fuel hikes. In countries like Nigeria and Egypt, minor price increases were recorded this month, while Ethiopia, Tunisia, Liberia, and the DRC saw slight declines. Libya, Angola, Algeria, and Sudan remained stable. Cheaper fuel also strengthens public transportation systems, freeing household incomes for other essentials. Governments can redirect fuel resources into subsidies and more into health, education, as well as infrastructure. By easing costs across industries and protecting consumers, these price levels reduce the burden on citizens and boost competitiveness in regional trade, creating resilience against external shocks in global energy markets. In the last of our stories, Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man and head of the Dangote refinery, defended his new fuel distribution strategy, stating it would create thousands of jobs instead of reducing them. The plan involves deploying 4,000 CNG-powered trucks, which unions initially criticized as monopolistic and potentially destructive to existing networks. Dangote dismissed those concerns, stressing that the initiative would generate 24,000 new jobs with salaries up to 4 times Nigeria's minimum wage of 70,000 naira. He explained that truck drivers could earn between 210 and 280,000 naira monthly. Those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning. Thank you for joining us on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub on YouTube, as well as NTV Africa. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. And of course, we'll still be bringing you the news stories from broader Africa. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Swera Zhakanaka.